Okay, welcome guys. We might have some people join in later on, but for right now, we'll just go ahead and get started. Um, I'll try to make this as brief as I can. I know that you guys have other stuff going on, jobs, school, sports, that sort of thing. So I don't want to waste too much of your time. My name is Sarah Schufer, and I'm going to be your instructor for this semester of Art 111. And today, and really just with all the virtual orientations that I do, we don't have any like live class work that we do. So just kind of beginning, I like to just kind of open a space for you to ask questions, to give as much clarity about the course as I can. Basically, what I do is take the syllabus and I've made it into sort of like a PowerPoint, just to kind of hit all of the high points and make sure that there's no confusion on anything that is listed there. I know the syllabus sometimes gets overlooked, but there are important policies and important information in there that I want to make sure that you guys are able to get and is communicated to you in multiple ways. So we'll go ahead and get started by me sharing my screen, and I'm just going to sort of navigate us through um, the course. 1 second to do that. Okay. All right. And if at any point you have questions that you want me to answer, you can either stop me, that's fine, if you want to turn on your mic, or you can just go to the chat box up here and just drop a question in there. I may not get to it immediately just because I get kind of like when I start talking, I kind of get overlooked or I overlook the chat box, but I will get back to it before the end of the meeting. So if you have questions or you don't want to stop it, but you feel like it's something important, then um, put it in the chat box up there and I'll get to it just as soon as I can. But otherwise, you guys, if you have not had a Blackboard course before or a Gaston course before, welcome. And I'm going to kind of take this slow as if you maybe haven't had a Gaston course before, but also not, too slow for those of you who have had a course before. So this is our home page here. I'm going to turn it into student view so that you guys see what you would normally see, sort of my view. Okay. So the only thing when you come in here at first is this little announcement about the icebreaker. If you haven't read that email yet, please do. It's just clarifying an issue we had with the icebreaker a little bit. So, please read that if you haven't already. Announcements though, this spot is going to be really, really useful for you. I usually post an announcement at least once a week, just giving you kind of like weekly review, what's coming up, what, due dates to remember. And then normally I do a weekly check-in video that will accompany that list of things. I don't always get to them. I like to do them every week, but sometimes I just run out of time. So look for those there. Usually announcements will also come to your email as well. So don't, worry too much if you've not checked in a few days. You'll have probably gotten an email if there was something that an announcement was made about. So, check this regularly. Just make sure I will, update if there's ever anything that's on my part that's like a mistake on the course, or just a deadline confusion, anything like that will be posted here. On this little tab bar over here, we also have our course entry quiz. And it's really important that you take that. I sent out emails today to those of you who had not taken it yet. But please take your course entry quiz today if you can, or if you're watching the recording of this, just as soon as you see this and if you have not taken the entry quiz, please just take a few moments and do that right now. It's just 3 questions. It's really brief, but it's what we use for auditing. And if you don't complete that by the census date, there is a potential of you getting withdrawn from the class. So very, very important that you do that as soon as possible. Our course info, I'll click on this briefly, but most of this I'll cover in the syllabus, so I'm not going to stay on it too long. This is where a lot of our policies and just like info can be found, hence the course info. Our schedule and any important like college closures, our methods of evaluation, all of that kind of stuff is listed here. So if you ever just kind of want like an overview of what's going on for the week, or if you're going to have a busy week one week, you can kind of look ahead and see what there is. You can't work ahead in this course, but you can look ahead in the course just to see what's coming up. So we've got our schedule here. And then we also have our extra credit instructions, which I'll talk about that in just a second, but those are listed there for you so you can, use that at any time. Also, our email policy, which I'll get to in just a second as well, is listed here in case you ever need to review the email policy. So, moving on, I'm going to go to our syllabus PowerPoint, and this is just going to kind of hit all the high points, like I said, of the actual syllabus, because I know that sometimes the syllabus gets overlooked, but again, there are important policies in there and information that we do need to cover. So hopefully this is a little bit more visually stimulating than just reading the black and white text. All righty. So starting out, like I said, my name is Sarah Shuford, and I have an MFA, which is essentially what qualifies me to teach this course. It's a Master's in Fine Art. This is my email address right here, and I use my email as my primary form of communication. So please make sure that if you do need to contact me, I do have my phone listed in my faculty information, but I'm only in my office on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so it probably, if you send me a message on Thursday, I may not get it until like the following Tuesday there. But email, I check every single day, and usually we'll get back to you within a couple hours, sometimes even sooner than that. My office location, should you ever need to actually like meet with me in person, is in CVA. It's the Center for Visual Arts on the main Dallas College campus, and I'm in room 7 there. But really, if you just walk through the front doors, you'll see my office just right. You'll see it immediately. So no need to find a map or anything. But as long as you can find it to CVA, I'll be there. My office hours for my online students, it is by appointment only. I don't have like a standing like open Zoom call or something like that. But I am happy to work with your schedule however I can to make sure that we are able to meet by Zoom or in person with whatever works for your schedule. So definitely don't, just because it says by appointment only, don't think that I don't want to meet with you. I definitely do. Okay. Some specifics about our class, or really this is like the most specific thing about our class particularly. We are an OER content course, which means that we are open educational resources, and that just essentially means that we do not have a textbook required for this course. This can be a great thing, however, it is a bit unconventional. A lot of students haven't had this type of course before, and so they think, oh, I don't have a textbook, so I don't have any kind of work to do, and that is not the case for sure. We have weekly Ed Puzzle videos that are like lecture content and just our material for the course essentially. And you do need to make sure that you are watching those every single day, or not every single day, but every single week that they're posted. They are a bit lengthy, and I do apologize for that. But again, this is the major way that you are getting this information for the course. So instead of, reading 50 pages in a textbook, you can watch a 15-minute video instead. Other OER content will be PowerPoints, videos, article readings, different kind of like immersive activities, things like that, that we'll do together. But again, the biggest plus on this is that the class does not require a textbook, meaning you don't have to buy a textbook. And if you're taking this class as a dual enrolled student at your high school doesn't have to pay for the textbooks, so they can offer more of these classes and you can get more college credit. But yeah, this is kind of the moving towards the future, I would say, is the OER type classes. So if you haven't had one before, this might be, a new norm for you, unless you're taking something like, that has to have a textbook like chemistry or something like that. Okay. Just our attendance policy here, and this is just pulled from Gaston's website. It's nothing particular to me necessarily. But with online classes, it is important that Gaston College expects students to participate in all instructional activities. Online courses are no different from classroom courses in this regard. However, participation must be defined in a different manner. Student attendance in an online course will be defined as active participation in the course as described in the individual course syllabus. Online courses will, at a minimum, have a weekly mechanisms for student participation, which can be documented by any or all of the following methods, i.e. student tracking, records in Blackboard, submission, completion of assignments, and communication with the instructor. This is sometimes gets people confused. Just because you log into the course, that does not qualify as attendance. And if you half finish something, but you don't actually submit it, that also does not count as attendance. Things that counted as attendance is taking a quiz, turning in a assignment, responding to a discussion, sending an email to me. That is like direct correspondence. So that also is considered attendance. But with that said, if you for any reason go inactive, meaning that you don't do one of the things that I just said, even if you're getting on the course, like even if you're logging on, you will be withdrawn from the course with the 21-day consecutive or 21 consecutive day policy. So please make sure that you are participating regularly. This is also why I don't allow students to work ahead in the course, because if you do 3 weeks worth of work and then you're not here for 3 weeks and don't submit anything, that still means that I have to withdraw you from the class because you weren't active for 3 weeks. And that's, the 21-day policy. So with the withdrawal process, if you do miss more than 21 consecutive days, and consecutive meaning in a row, like for 3 weeks entirely, you just go totally ghost. Like I can't get in contact with you. You don't respond to me in my emails. You don't submit anything. You will be withdrawn from the course as long as it falls before the withdrawal date. So that is November 7th. And if for any reason you would like to withdraw from the course, if it's, there's no shame in it, it happens all the time. But if you do need to withdraw, it has to be before November 7th. Otherwise, you do have to remain in the course. Even if you do not submit any other work past that, you will still be in the course and receive whatever it is the grade is, probably an F in that scenario. But yeah, just make sure that if you do need to withdraw, it's before November 7th, and that you don't go inactive 3 weeks before November 7th, because then you will also be withdrawn, but you cannot, or you will not be withdrawn, but you'll have to remain in the class. Let me check our chat real quick. That's a really good question, Ethan. So there is a date where you can withdraw by and get, I think it's 75% of your money back. Let's look at that real quick because I will forget about that just while we're on it. So September 3rd, and this is for 16-week classes, so we need to find the 14-week class. I would assume it's probably coming up in the next week or so, though. If you do need to withdraw, you'll receive 75% of your tuition refund, but I think that's for 16 weeks, so I'll need to look at our calendar. It's on Gaston's calendar that you can find on their website, though, but it looks like I just copied and pasted the wrong one, so it's coming up though pretty quickly before you can actually get your money back. I think it's within a few days of classes starting, or your 14-week class. Does that answer your question? I'm gonna jump back over. Yeah, no, I think that's probably a good just to check in on it. But yeah, you should be fine. I mean, this class is pretty straightforward as long as you're submitting your work. I will say the class is a bit compressed. It's normally a 16-week course, so it's a 14-week course. So especially at the beginning, it may feel like you have a lot of work in the course, but it's just like we're playing a little bit of catch up to get all of our stuff, put back into the right order essentially. But yeah, just make sure that you meet that withdrawal date. And if you do decide just maybe after this video or something that it is going to be too much, that you look into that withdrawal process ASAP so that you can get some of your money back at least. And let me get that. Okay. So moving on, I've got a couple things that I'm a pretty big stickler, not super flexible about. One of those is late work and makeup work. And I promise it's not because I'm a mean person or I don't want you to, have all the opportunities to submit your work. It's just simply I cannot keep up with it anymore. I teach 7 sections of Art 111 a semester. And it really am just at capacity with what I'm able to do as far as reopening deadlines, keeping up with late work, keeping up with makeup work. And it just gets really messy if I allow that to happen. So I give you as much time as you possibly can have in order to complete your assignments, but they, unless you have documentation, i.e. a doctor's note or a note from your principal or your boss or something that is excusing you from, doing your work, that's the only circumstances that I can allow you to submit late work. I can't accept your parents calling me if you're in high school. I really can't even communicate with your parents because you were the one taking the class as a college student. So it has to be some sort of official documentation that tells me why you had to miss, a week's worth of work. Yeah, so ADA, that's also a very, very good question. If you have something that applies to ADA, I will have already gotten a response from the accessibility services. And so I have already have that information as long as they have emailed it to me and that you have gotten contact with them. This is a good time to mention though, if you are in high school and you have an IEP, Gaston College is not necessarily recognized that IEP. You need to make sure that you've contacted the Office of Accessibility and Disability Services and that they have made an accommodation for you specifically. But yes, if you have official documentation that has been already emailed over to me, I do take that into consideration and we'll work with you however falls into your specific accommodation. Does that help? Hopefully. All right. So with the late work again, has to be some ADA compliance or doctor's note, note from principal, et cetera, some sort of higher up. Parents do not count, unfortunately. And all assignments, like I said, are due at 11:59 on Sundays unless specified otherwise, but it's almost always on Sundays. You can just kind of count on that 11:59. And again, I realize that technical issues do happen. However, being in a totally online class, it is a requirement. It's not a want or a hope that you have, but it is a requirement in being in an online class that you have stable, reliable access to the computer, Blackboard, internet, etc., everything that you need for the class. So things like a missing charging cable, all of a sudden don't have internet access like right before the deadline, don't know where to turn an assignment in, etc. Issues like this will not be grounds for turning in late work. And I will say, I know that sounds very mean, but 99.5% of the time, when I get an email like this saying that one of these things has happened, it's on Sunday at 11 o'clock, and I don't see that email until the following day. So, if you're having trouble earlier in the week and you've, have already looked at the assignments and kind of, been pacing yourself, then we can definitely work with that. But if you are, waiting until the last second, you're kind of taking a risk by working solely over the weekend, looking at assignments solely over the weekend to, not be able to communicate with me, not be able to figure these things out. So I would highly recommend at the beginning of the week, just kind of reviewing what you have to do, maybe getting started on it a little bit. And that way you're not, kind of at a loss at the last second when you're trying to, make all of your work up at the 11th hour. With that said, I don't want to feel like I am, polarizing anybody if you don't have stable Wi-Fi, if you don't have internet access at home, etc. We do have open computer labs and library access on campus. So, any resource that you could possibly need, we probably have, some person that can help you with it, tech services, counselors, that sort of thing that can help you get access to what you need for this course. So again, I don't want to be a stickler about this, but I've gotten taken advantage of for years and years and years about late work, and it just becomes impossible to keep up with. And so that is why I am the way I am about this now. See if there's any messages. Okay. So our email policy, only other thing that is I'm a very big stickler about, and again, this has to do with my capabilities to respond to you and wanting to be the best and most professional and most prompt in responding to you. So first things first with my email policy, and this is Gaston's email policy, not mine, this first one here. When you're communicating with me or anybody at Gaston College, you must use your Gaston College email address. That is the email address ending in gaston.edu. It cannot be a personal email address and it cannot be a high school email address. That's very important to note, especially for dual enrollment students, because I get tons of emails coming from your high school emails, and I cannot respond to those. It's just a privacy policy that we have. That I cannot respond to an email that's coming from a personal email. I also cannot respond to parent emails. That is all, you are the one taking the class, and so it is a violation of our privacy policies that if I am to respond with your parents. I also cannot talk on the phone with your parents. So please make note of that. I know that your parents, are able to talk to your high school teachers about your performance and about your grades and things, but I cannot communicate with them about that. I also will never send you anything to your high school email address. It will only be coming to your Gaston College email address. So if I were you right now or after we get off of here, go ahead and download the Outlook app, which is like Microsoft's email, and that's what Gaston uses as well. Log yourself into that and just turn the notifications on. And that way, you'll see emails coming from me, and then you can also respond, quickly on your phone if you need to. Second thing, this one's really important and probably the most overlooked one, but it's very, very helpful for me if you do this, and it helps me respond to you quicker. So you have a section number. That this is not the right section number. I'll tell you what yours is in just a second. We have a section number, or actually, I'm sorry, that might actually be our section number. No, we are D6F. That is our section number, D6F. So that section number, D6F, I would like for you to include in every single email that you send to me. Reason being is I have, like I said, I have 7 Art 111 courses. And so when you email me and say, hey, I'm from Art 111, I have to look through 7 rosters to find your name, your situation specifically, and that can be very time consuming. So if you just are sure to put that D6F in there somewhere, I can respond to you a lot more promptly. Next one, I do want you guys to practice what we call email netiquette, and that's just, composing a professional email that, uses proper grammar, spelling, punctuation. And in that course information tab where like the schedule and things are, there is like a little helpful like guide to email netiquette. This is not only, for me, but also when you're like applying for jobs or, applying to a four-year university, et cetera. You're able to actually form emails because that's emailing is sort of an art that is dying in a way, thanks to like text messaging and, more instant messaging forms of communication. So I want to make sure that you still know how to write an email and that you can, professionally compose what it is that you're trying to say. And then lastly, I see the messages up there. I'll get to them in just a second. I don't use Blackboard Messenger. I have it turned off in our course, but if you go to this home page here where like all of your courses are listed right there, messages over here in the corner, that is Blackboard Messenger, and it is different from your Gaston College email address. This is just like an instant messenger, and it gets very confusing because a lot of the times I'll have students respond to me through their email, and then they'll like follow up with Blackboard Messenger, and it's just a lot of jumping back and forth. So know that I do not check those. If I'm not responding to something that you've messaged me, make sure you haven't accidentally used Blackboard Messenger and that you're only using your email address, because like I said, I don't check those. Those are all from like last semester and previous semesters. All righty. All right. So adaptive release, I've spoken about that briefly. Oh, let me check the chat real quick in case that was from. Well, you have 7 days technically. So you have Monday, like 12 a.m. on Monday until Sunday at 11:59. So you've got 7 days total. And then yes, D6F is our section number, not D6E. And you can find that at the top of your course on Blackboard. It'll say Art 111, D6F, Fall 2024. Okay, so adaptive release, assignments, discussions, quizzes are all on adaptive release and will only be visible the week they are due. So at 12 a.m. on Monday, the adaptive release will reset to your new week. And it's very important to submit your work before 11:59 on Sundays. You cannot work ahead in the course, so you can't like look at next week's work. You can only look at the week's work that you have assigned to you for that week. And you also cannot go back to a previous week. Just a couple resources that we have. Really, this is the only one that I've got listed here this time. Gaston College Writing Center. We do have several writing assignments in our class. So if you feel like you need help with writing, you can always use this online form here, and you can actually just submit your writing and they'll help you edit it. It's kind of like real life Grammarly or something. There is a real person that will help you edit your paper and help you compose it a little bit better if you're not great at writing, or I have lots of students where English is not their first language. And if that is the case and you need help with grammar, spelling, punctuation, that sort of thing, that's going to be a really, really great tool for you to use for any class that you take here. Okay, methods of evaluation. These are all the ways that we are graded in this course. I'd like for you to note that these are weighted. So for example, participation is 15%, projects are 30%. Participation, as we can see in this next part here, makes up 15%. And these are Edpuzzle videos that will be in each of the 8 modules. That make sure to watch each video all the way through and click submit at the end. Note there are about 45 to 55 Edpuzzles total. So be aware that these are graded or weighted very little at the end. Whereas, for example, a project is also worth 15%. So you might have like 50 hundreds in the grade book all coming from participation points. And then, you have 1 0 if you didn't turn in your project. And that is the equivalent of not doing any of the participation videos. I know that can be a little bit confusing, and I've had issues with that in the past with students where they just cannot understand that, because they have all these hundreds in the grade book, why they still, are down so many points. And that is because they didn't turn in a project or a more challenging assignment that, only makes up 1 grade. Our next 2 types are assignments and discussions. Assignments are 15% and discussions are 15%. Very similar, and I'm sure you've had all of these before. Assignments are basically just you're responding to a prompt. And the discussions are just essentially assignments, but they have the discussion component, meaning that you have to respond to classmates and have, participate in discussion. Quizzes are also 15%. Each module has a quiz with 10 questions. Quizzes will consist of multiple choice, fill in the blank, and true or false style questions. So again, 8 of those, 10 questions each, and they're just kind of like generally summarizing each of the modules. And I'll come back to these quizzes in just a second on another assignment, actually. But we also have projects. So like I said, project 1, our midterm project, it's essentially a just summary of what we've done for like half the semester. And so that is worth 15% of our grade, equivalent to, all of the participation assignments or all of the discussions. It's very, very heavily weighted, but again, you work on it for about half the semester. So it's justified in being that heavily weighted. Same with the final project. We'll start looking at the final project right after the midterm project is due. And you can, work on it throughout the semester or the second half of the semester. So yeah, those are pretty heavily weighted, but they have a lot to them. They're much more challenging than other assignments. And then lastly, our final exam, we have a part A and a part B of multiple choice, fill in the blank, and true or false style questions. Part A is designed by the curriculum, so every single art appreciation class has the same part A. This we will have an extensive study guide for, so you don't really need to worry about that leading up to it. The week before exams, we'll do the study guide together, and you should be in good shape. Part B is made up of old quiz questions, so if you want to make yourself a study guide maybe along the way, like when you're reviewing your quizzes at the end of each quiz, you can write down the answers, and that way you can have that to study from once we get to that point. Extra credit. Students will have 3 opportunities to receive extra credit throughout the semester by attending an art-focused gallery or museum and writing a brief summary of their experience. Each extra credit opportunity is worth 2 points of extra credit that will be added to the final grade. Now, this is pretty generous, so hopefully this makes sense. So, for example, a student completes all 3 of the extra credit opportunities, they will receive 6 points extra credit. So, for example, if a student's grade is an 84% and they complete all 3 opportunities, their grade will be raised to a 90%, which is, obviously a whole new grade level or grade entirely. That can really, really make or break your grade for sure. So if you're struggling there at the end, it's super, super beneficial to have done these. The instructions for it are to attend an approved art gallery or museum. In the announcements, I will regularly post from the Roush Gallery on the main campus of Gaston College. But for any other galleries or museums, you must email me for approval before attending. The only reason that I do this, because most, all art galleries I'm going to approve for sure. I've had students not ask me in advance and go to more like natural history museums, like, war museums and things like that. And those are not the same as what our class is focusing on. It needs to be an art-based museum. And then once you have gone to the gallery, I want you to take a selfie inside the gallery and a photo of one or more artworks that you see. and write a brief 2-paragraph summary. Paragraph 1 is a summary of the exhibit with the name of the artist, the mediums, what the artwork looked like, etc. Paragraph 2 is your opinion of the work. So you can talk about one artwork or the gallery as a whole and just tell me your opinion. So 2 paragraphs, I expect like 5 to 7 sentences, full sentences for each of these. And then once you're done, you can just email it to me as a PDF. Don't share any links. Just download it as a PDF or a Word document and email it to me, as well as the writings. And then I will, and there's my email, obviously. And then I will apply that extra credit to the extra credit column that you'll see in the grade book. These will look like points though. So for example, if you do one opportunity, you should see a 2 in that column. And this is not correct, but it's the last Friday before exam week, which I think is like December 9th, maybe, is when the deadline for this is. But I'll double check on that. But essentially just remember, you have all semester to do these essentially. You can do them at any time. You can do them all in a week, or you can do them, every third of the semester or something. It doesn't matter when you turn these in. And then lastly, just congratulations on your college status. If you are a new college student, you are officially a Gaston College student. This comes with a variety of perks and privileges, such as gym facilities, library access, student discounts, and more. However, it also comes with the expectations of college students in this class to be professional, mature, and respectful at all times. So make sure that you are taking this class seriously. Make sure that you know what you have signed up for. This is not, the responsibility of your parents or another teacher. You're responsible for keeping up with the deadlines, with checking in with me, turning in your work on time, all of those things. Don't go inactive. Don't, try to make up work at the last second or wait to the last second. You need to make sure that you're taking accountability as a college student. And if this is not your first college class, you already know the drill, but I know that a lot of you guys are dual enrolled, so this could be your first class that you have. And I hope I can make that a good experience for you. All righty. So that concludes my portion of this. The only thing that I need for you to do for this week, other than obviously attending our orientation, is to complete the course entry quiz if you have not already, and also complete the icebreaker discussion, which I clarified that here. But if you have not done the icebreakers yet, the instructions are for the All About Me collage, and that is what they should have been, but there were some old instructions there. And so if you accidentally responded to those instructions instead, don't worry about it. I'll just grade it, based on what you did. But again, that instruction or those instructions are in the Start Here module down here in this discussion, and then you'll just upload there. All right. And then this PowerPoint is right here if you need to ever look back at it. But it's essentially just a summary of the syllabus. So let me go up here. Yeah, that's great that you've not great that you've had that experience, but it does that is the reason that I don't let you work ahead in the classes, because I know people would do that, myself included. If I were taking the course, I would want to, get ahead on it. But yeah, it is very important that you don't work ahead in the course. So I'm glad that you've that's happened and that you've learned from it. Are there any other questions from anyone before we conclude the meeting? It can be related or not related to what we talked about, or if you just have a general concern or an individual concern, I'm happy to stay on here longer if we need to, or if we run out of time, I can jump over to another meeting. Or if you are good, you can give a thumbs up, and then if you want to leave the chat, that's fine. This is the last thing that we'll do. But I appreciate you guys all meeting here live with me. This way you don't have to do it later. So go on and, do your other stuff you got to do today. And I just appreciate you guys tuning in with me. Again, I'll stay on until everybody logs off though. Okay. You guys are good. So I'm going to end the call, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.